If we're going to really make fundamental change and have real power in the United States, we've got to start paying attention to the courts. And this means to a large extent having Democrats in positions of power where they can appoint judges. Now, tragically, only about 10% of judges in the United States are appointed anymore. The Republicans have been pushing conservatives harder and harder and harder, year after year, decade after decade, and we're now up to the point where almost 90% of judges are elected, and increasingly judiciary elections elections for judgeships, even at the local and county level, are becoming more and more expensive. It can cost $1 million to become a $65,000 a year judge in rural Mississippi. I mean, it's that bizarre, because those judges have the power to control whether or not the EPA can actually enforce rules against oil companies. So guess who's putting those judges into place? Guess who's paying the fees for the judges? So, yeah, exactly. So, to bring this back around to Barack Obama and to contemporary politics, I have a long list of complaints about the President of the United States, about Mr. Obama, about President Obama. You know, the health care bill was wussy, the bank bill didn't break up the two, you know, I can give you the long list. But here's, first of all, you know, he's a hell of a lot better than George Bush. But here's the really important thing, and this is what I want to leave you with, because this is, it is impossible to overstate how important this is. The swing vote in the Senate, on the Supreme Court right now is Justice Kennedy, and Justice Kennedy is probably going to be the next one to retire, or God forbid to die. I don't wish him poorly, but and it's probably not going to be in the next year or two. It's probably going to be in the next 4 or 5 or 6 years. He's just of that age. And if a Republican is in the White House when that happens, you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, literally, we could see back to the 19-teens the repeal of laws that allow unionization, the repeal by the Supreme Court. Talk about judicial activism. I mean, you've got people on the bench like Scalia who are already talking about this stuff. You could see the repeal. Scalia thinks that it is wrong that the government says that you can't work, that if you work more than a 40-hour week that you have to be compensated extra for it. He thinks it's wrong that there are, much like Rand Paul, that the government would involve itself in things like child labor. That should simply be between the employer and the employee. We should have that, you know, all these kind of things. He's an originalist, right? And of course, originally, when this country was founded, the age of consent was 7. Children typically went to work around 9 or 10, unless they were 7-year-olds who went into prostitution, which was not uncommon at that time. I mean, that's the world Scalia wants. That's the world he's driving us towards. And so, bottom line, just to put it in a nutshell, the bottom line is that regardless of how wonderful or not wonderful President Obama may be, and he has done many good things, let me just acknowledge that. The most important thing right now is that A, secondarily important, we try to hold control of the House and Senate in this election and in 2012, and B, that in the 2012 election, and we all need to be preparing for it, because I'm telling you, the Republicans, half of what's going on right now, particularly all this Muslim stuff, this is set up to knock down Obama in 2012. That in 2012, we have a Democrat in the White House until 2016. It must be. And that's only going to happen one way, and that's if you and I get active, tag, you're it. You see that?